Check 1, 2. Hey, welcome to the Confidad podcast. My name is Dan, your host, and I'm so glad you chose to join in today. Just like every day, we're here to remind you what is true through our mindset training, moving into specific tools. I'll equip you with those things that you need to become the dad that your kids need. And lastly, empower you, give you the courage, like an injection of power into you to remember that this is something you get to do. You get to become the dad that your kids need. So without further ado, here we go. Moving into mindset. Say it with me. I am the only one who can fulfill the father role I have, so I choose to do it well. I get to show up well for my kids. Imperfection is reality. Ownership is a choice. Today is brand new, so is tomorrow. I am wholly loved, so I will love wholly. I'm so excited about our equipping section today because it's the first of 4 that we will sprinkle in throughout here in the month of December as we look towards the next year, towards 2025, and giving you the tools that you need to build the family culture that you're proud of and that you feel like you are steering in a certain direction that you and your family choose. So as we think about the family culture framework, there's a couple of different pieces that we put in place as far as weekly family meetings and quarterly check-ins, goal setting, all of that sort of thing. But that's the nitty gritty. How do we do it? But what do we use? What materials do we use in building this family culture? We utilize 4 different pieces of material to build our family culture. Okay. The first is connection. The next is contribution. The third is adventure. And the last is service. But today, and for this specific series, we're going to focus in on service first. We're going to start at the end because it is a little bit backwards. It is a little bit different in the sense of what's the importance of service? A lot of families that I know or have come in contact with, and we've even struggled with this ourselves, service is an afterthought. Being generous is an afterthought. It's something that we do at the end of the year, right? Year-end giving. Let's make sure that we've given enough and so that we're in the right tax, whatever. And it is self-serving to a degree. But if we put service on the front end, if we start to understand that if we begin from a place of serving, if we begin from a place of understanding, we have certain resources and we're able to then give to people out of those resources and meet their felt needs of those people around us, it is an incredibly powerful thing for kids to learn and to realize. Okay, so we're going to focus in family culture framework today, the 4 builders, and of those builders, number 4, service. And here is why service matters. When our kids understand and witness that their resources can meet the felt needs of those who don't have, it has a profound impact on their why. It expands the horizons of possibilities in their brains. Imagine this for a second. Our oldest is at a middle school here in Minnesota, and they are doing a winter clothing drive. Northern Minnesota, northwestern Minnesota in the winter can get really chilly. And there's actually a pretty decent amount of people who have migrated or immigrated here from around the country and around the world. And when you come to Minnesota and you've never been here in the wintertime, there's a great need of layers, extra clothing. In fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine who moved to Western North Dakota from Tennessee. Okay. And he is there for the first time in the winter. And he's like, bro, this is no joke. The wind and the cold, and I've got to wear more clothes than I thought I could even own. And it's right. Up here, we know how to dress in layers because of the weather. But if you're not from here and no one's ever taught you that, or you've never experienced it, one of the problems is people come and they're ill-equipped for the winter. And so our kids' school has put together this drive where all the kids who have grown out of their snow stuff and it's still in decent shape, or who just have extra stuff laying around or extra funds to buy snow stuff, what we do is, snow stuff is an insider term for those of you not in Minnesota or where it snows. Snow stuff is hats, mittens, like scarf, boots, snow pants, and a jacket. Okay. So they are collecting items like that to protect people's skin from the extreme temperature changes and the weather around here, the wind specifically. And so what's happening here is these students who have resource are bringing in clothing to care for those who don't have. And imagine this possibility. My kid donates a hat and mittens that he wore for 1 year because, well, he grew out of them, right? Happens really fast. And the following week, one of his classmates shows up in that very piece of clothing that he donated. What would happen in our kids' brains when they start to understand that their acts of sacrifice, their acts of giving and of serving those other people around us, his choice to donate is now what is keeping that classmate warm on their walk to and from school? Because that other student probably has to walk to and from school because their parent or parents are too busy working 3 jobs just to put food on the table and a roof over their head. What a gift that our kids can understand that my choice, my action to serve those in my vicinity, I'm all for serving people all around the world and those impoverished 100%. But specifically within the family culture builders, there is so much need in our backyards. It's way easier to sign a check and send it out to Compassion International or to World Vision or to some of these other organizations that do wonderful work feeding the hungry and giving water to those who need it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's just easier, right? And a lot of times when we do that, it's out of sight, out of mind. Our money has gone, and maybe we are able to donate enough to make it as a tax advantage for us. Okay. That doesn't change the way that you see the world. That doesn't change the possibility horizon in your outlook. And it certainly doesn't change your kids' outlook on service. Specifically, just writing a check and sending money and giving to those in need. That doesn't change our kids' perspective. But when our kids are able to take what they have and give to those in need, and then witness how that changes that person's life, it really can help our kids go, wow, that choice made a difference in that person's life. Maybe if we make more choices like that, if we take more actions like that, we can make a difference in this world. We can change the life and the trajectory in the future of those people who are living and moving and having their being right within our midst. When we're told to treat others how we want to be treated in the golden rule and love your neighbor and all that stuff, it doesn't just mean like people that you don't like or people that are in need. It might actually mean like your literal neighbor. Maybe you have people across the road, down the street, in that neighborhood that you never go to who have needs that you can meet. And when we can partner up with things like our kids' school is doing, it's a fantastic and safe way for our kids to engage in service in a way that can really expand their horizons and anchor them to a why of their living, to having purpose in their family. Think about this. Just in like 4 quarters coming up in 2025, if you choose 4 things to engage in as a family, specifically with service, in your backyard, not literal backyard, but in your community, what could happen to your family's vision for 2026, for 27, for years down the road as your kids begin to contribute to your family culture and say, hey, that was so fun. I wonder if we did this. One of my clients, when engaging with this conversation, talked about how his family, when they go to Costco, they just buy 2 of everything. And then they construct these little bags of like, healthy, nutritious, protein-filled snacks and other things in the wintertime, hand warmers, that kind of stuff. And when we see people who happen to be homeless on the side of the road who are asking for money or food, they take this bag and they hand it through the window and give it to the person and then say, is there anything we can pray with you for? It's just a simple act. Even if they say no, that's say, okay, I hope that this is a gift to you and it brings you some joy and some sustenance today. That's a simple, like almost a painless act of sacrifice. But how much better is that? And how much better modeling is that for our kids instead of just ignoring and pretending like that person isn't there and not looking out the window? What a gift for our kids to say, ooh, not only do mom and dad see me, hear me, and want to know me better, their eyes are open on this horizon and they desire to see those who are unseen in our culture. Be some powerful things, powerful shifts that can come in and through our family, into our communities to make a real difference in real people's lives. What a gift. I hope that you could take this equipping of serving and find ways for you and your kids to join in to service. We'll talk about this and we'll be pretty specific about it in our January mini course on family culture framework. But if you don't join, find a way to create service in your family's rhythm and build it in a way that can help your kids' horizon open up and serve those around you. Lastly, today, for some empowerment. Are you the kind of dad that at the end of the day, you come home and you're just exhausted because you have poured everything into your work, into your job, into your profession? And we talked about this a few episodes ago about how like giving fumes it's exhausting and it's frustrating and sometimes shame filled and guilt ridden. You're like, man, I gave everything to everyone else, but I don't have anything left to give to my kids. As a way of empowering you in this and asking you the question, so when you come home, are you entitled dad or are you selfless dad? Are you the dad that says, no, I just gave everything I could to provide for you guys. Give me some minutes. I need time to rest and relax from my stressful day. Entitled, I deserve this. I worked hard. Or are you selfless? Are you able to dig a little bit deeper? To dig deep into that hard work mentality to show up for your kids. If you're a hard worker, high achiever, love to dig deep and work really hard, use that same gift, that same energy for your children. Before you get out of the car and you walk in the house, take 4 deep square breaths, inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and hold it for 4. Do that and then say, I'm going to show up for my kids and I'm going to dig deep. The moments that I don't show up well for my kids at the end of the day because I've poured out to clients and one-on-ones in different settings, and then I just get exhausted and I show up and I don't prepare myself for coming home. There's no coming home reset. I get real cranky, real fast, very irritable. I show up for my kids in the worst way possible. And then I become the do as I say, not as I do dad. And I'm very hypocritical. I'm entitled, telling my kids not to be entitled. But if you want your kids to be selfless, to have good self-regulation in their emotions and their behaviors, we have to model it. This stuff is way better caught than taught, right? And here's the reality. You get to show up for your kids today. If you don't, who will? Waiting. Still no answer. Okay. If you don't show up for your kids today and show up well, show up selfless, show up giving of yourself, digging deep, working hard, bringing down that high achiever work ethic for your kids, who's gonna? Nobody. And then it just starts to spiral or keeps spiraling. It's up to you, and you get to make the choice today to show up well for your kids. And if you make that choice today, fantastic. If you don't, okay, you have some improvement to do. But guess what? It's the choice that we get to make, not just today, but day after day after day. And the more that you make it and the sooner that you choose it, the better it becomes. And actually, it starts to build these neural pathways of connection between us and our kids in a way that, get this, you start to look forward to hanging with your kids. You start to look forward to being in the room with them and connecting with them in these beautiful, sometimes just short and potent moments of connection with them. And sometimes it can linger and be longer and exciting and whatever. But the great thing is there's no pressure. It's not just like about time, it's about the space that's created in your family for you to show up really well and model what does it look like to be a well-regulated, interdependent adult that says, I'm selfless and I'm going to give of myself today. So may you dig deep today. May you choose to show up big for your kids, just like you do when you don't want to show up at work or you feel frustrated or you're stressed, and then you dig deeper and you get it done. Just get it done at home. Do the same thing you do at work, but do it for your kids. And thank me later. Thanks for showing up and listening today. So grateful to have you here at the Confidad podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode.